What's going on, ladies and gentlemen, saints and anchors, as the late, great Bernie Mac said, what's up, you squares? And welcome to another episode of Trap Talk. I am your host, Dominique Smith. We got a few things to cover today, but I have to introduce to you today's guest because she is the biggest thing in track and field when it comes to content creating. Her tweets, listen, if you do not have a Twitter, this is incentive. This is a push to get you on that social media app. I don't care who you follow, but please go and follow her. She's doing it big. She is a runner for the University of Kentucky. She is a contributor with Sidious Magazine, and she hosts her own podcast with Jasmine Todd. And you do not want to miss that. The legend that is Miss Katelyn Hutchison. Katelyn, what's going on, fam? How you doing?
That was such a big introduction. Like, I don't even know like what to say to that. That's crazy. I'm feeling good tonight. I'm excited to get into some track talk. You already know if it's track, I'm gonna be there. I'm gonna be having something to say. So it's gonna be a great time for sure.
Hey, you know how we do on the show, all thriller, no filler. That's how we roll.
Yeah.
Listen, without further ado, let's just jump right into it. So earlier this week, brother Michael Norman said, I am taking my talents to the 100 meters. I don't know about you, but when I read that, and then I didn't look at the entire interview that he did with Chris, but I read enough. It was like, it did my heart good. It was like, honestly, like on a Saturday night, him saying I'm going to the 100 was like when, my uncle, rest in peace, Uncle Adele, would drop the hush puppies into the fryer, and you got the fish over there with the grease getting off of it, with the grits going, Al Green in the background, because it's just going to be, it's just with the crystal hot sauce. You know how it is. Maybe that's just my family. If anyone else can't relate, I understand that. That's just how we do it in the South. But you just know it's going to be fire. You know that go-to plate is going to warm your soul, and I think that's the reaction I got when Michael Norman decided that he was going to run the 100 meters. But I need to hear your take on it. What did you make of his decision? What did you make of his announcement? I know you did a quick video of it, like 25 seconds. Like, it's like you knew he was doing this before he even decided he was going to do it.
The thing is, though, is like, it's so many people that's, chatting on Twitter saying, oh, that's stupid of him. If Sharika Jackson and Fred Curley didn't prove one damn thing to y'all over these past 2 or 3 years, it's like, stop messing with people who decide to bet on themselves, because it seemed like 9 times out of 10, it's going to work out in their favor. So when I seen it, I was like, you know what? This is not surprising, because so when I first got accustomed to Michael Norman's name, I was in college at some point. So I only knew him as like the 400 runner. Like, I didn't know he used to do the 100. And so I think somebody was like, oh, it's not confusing. I think in the midst of like COVID, he ran the world lead of like 986, like his first meet back. And everybody was like, oh, like, that's not surprising. I'm like, what the hell are y'all talking about? Like, this dude runs the 400. And they're like, no, before he was Mr. Quarter Horse, he was Mr. Short Sprints. I was like, oh, snap. So he, that's why he running so fast. He got that speed in him. So when I seen it, I was like, this is just going to make everything crazy. And making that team is going to be absolute hell on earth. But luckily, we got the world champion on our home. So, it's going to be 4 guys that go. But either way, 4 guys, when like majority of our team is ranked in like the top 20 worldwide, I don't know. It's gonna be scary. It's gonna be a shootout. That's all I know this season. That's all I know.
When people, and I don't understand that, and you make a great point. Fred Curley, I'm gonna take my talents down to the sprints, the 1 and the 2, right? Sharika Jackson, why is she not running the 4? Why is she not concentrating? Sharika Jackson has the second fastest time in the history of the event. Fred Curley is just waking up saying, you know what? I'm going to run 9.7 in the pre-preliminary, not even a preliminary, the pre-preliminary rounds, and just going to do my thing. Shout out to Fred making the move to A6. I think that's a power move, and I think a lot of people are going to follow suit. But Michael Norman, when I was sold on Michael Norman as a sprinter? A couple years ago, when he was overseas racing the 200 against Noah Lyles and beat him running 1970.
You know what? I do remember that.
Yes, that's when I was sold on him. If you watch Michael Norman, and I'm just going to go ahead and say it, I got Michael Norman making this 100-meter team. I do believe that he is going to make this 100-meter team because his sprint mechanics are legit. Listen, Mad love and respect to Noah Lyles, but listen, Noah Lyles and Michael Norman. Michael Norman puts up a fight, and then Noah does what he does the last 50 to 60 meters. He has a gear that's unmatched since Usain Bolt. Right, let's just call it what it is. Let's just call it what it is. That's what it is. And so, but Norman, he's such an explosive sprinter. He has strength. He could run the turn, with the 200. I think he'd be a good 200-meter runner. He gets out the block fast. He has the strength of a 4 and a 2. And you're trained by, it's not like he's trained by a scrub. He's Quincy Watts. Like, what are we doing here? So I don't understand like how people are up in arms, like, oh, he doesn't have a chance. Like, he should have stayed in the 4.
They were like, he don't even got a chance to make the finals. I'm like, I'm praying he makes the team, but the least that he's going to do is make the final. Like, maybe worst case scenario, he doesn't make it out to Worlds as a 100-meter sprinter, but that boy is gonna get to finals. I'm just like, I don't know how y'all are like forgetting every other accolade that he's had before this. And I know you were talking a lot about like his sprint mechanics. Every time I watch him run the 400, sometimes I'd be scared because I'm like, you taking out like a bat out of hell, especially when he was running 43s consistently and everybody was like, oh, snap. He might be the next man. He might be the dude that run 42. And everybody's like, we don't know what's going to happen. But it's mainly because every time he gets out, it's like a lightning bolt. And like you can see that short sprinter in him. He's just so damn good that he can take it to the long sprints and bring home a world championship medal in the 400. So I'm excited to see this. And everybody who over here counting that boy out, stop it right now before he prove you wrong again and you at home sitting silly. But that's not going to hurt his pockets, so he not tripping.
I don't think he's considered. I got a hot take, and I'm going to get plenty of crap for this.
Let's chat about it.
I got a hot take. He getting a medal at Worlds.
I'm gonna have to be on the opposite end of that.
That's okay.
But and I don't mean that. I don't mean that in like a bad way. So like Michael, if you listen to this, you're like, I can't. No, it's not even like that. It's just the simple fact that like the field is so deep that it's like when you have. I think the other thing outside of this is not just like the speed; it's the personality of these people. Like Fred Curley, Noah, like these people, I don't even know how to explain it. Just like the kind of energy that they give off. Like, I don't mean in no means like he gonna get out there and he gonna bomb it. Like, now I think he gonna bring it to the line with the rest of them. But it's gonna be so tight in terms of getting that medal and making it through rounds and actually getting on that podium. It's just like, me personally, at this point, if you make it to the finals, all of y'all deserve a medal because it's just that damn hard to get there in the first place. Maybe if he does get a medal, it might be off of the relay because, we got a huge relay pool and everybody's rooting for the USA to finally not mess it up and make some shit shake. But honestly, if he does come with one, I think it's going to be a 4x1, but I don't think it's going to be open. But that's just my personal opinion. But I still think he's going to run some hot shit.
Granted, I didn't say what he was going to medal in. I just said he was going to win a medal.
That's true.
I didn't. We didn't get the specifics. It's still February. I didn't get the specifics, but I still stand on it 10 toes. Michael Norman is walking away with some hardware. Now, the thing is, go ahead.
I think one more thing to consider though about that statement. If y'all remember, he still got that buy in that 400. So if he go through this season and he's like, damn, this 100 mess is not working out. I mean, to be a 400 runner, you gotta know how to sprint. So I doubt that any of the training that he's doing right now wouldn't push him to do well in the 400 if the time comes, whenever they get to Worlds. So like you said, I mean, shoot, he might just get his medal back in the 400. Who knows? He gonna come away with something.
If anything, it's pushing him to run faster in the 400 because you have that kind of speed. We saw what happened with Wade Van Niekerk in 2016. When we see speed mixes it with that distance and that element of power. Look, I will say this: my dream is to see Michael Norman at full strength, Wade Van Niekerk back to the old Wade, Stevie Gardner, champion Allison. And just one more person, just like a fifth person. Just I don't know.
Put Karani in there.
Karani. Oh, my bad, Karani. Let me put some respect on it. My bad, man. I didn't even mean to leave you out. And Karani, like those five, 3 medals, 5 dudes, just straight dudes in that 400.
Gonna be monstrous. That's why people be scared of this sport, because it's like you could literally be one of the fastest people in history in that moment in that race and still not go home with a thing.
It's just insane. That's the evolution of the sport. Like as we're recording this, NCAAs, at least the conference championships, are going on.
Yeah.
Think about this. What was the fastest time in the world right now in the 60s? So it's Trayvon Bromell 642. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Second fastest time is 647 by CC by Christopher Coleman. Okay. That's not true anymore, because the second fastest time is Jones, Terrence Jones from Texas Tech, who just popped 645 in the prelim. You got these girls from Texas running 703 in the prelims.
So smooth. Like when I tell you, it was literally picture perfect movement. Like I came across the video scrolling my timeline before we got on here, and I said, Julian, like, you are a dog, bro. Like, I don't know this many people that can run 7-0 low this many times. Like, it's nothing, girl. Like, you might as well just run 6'9". Like, I know it's there. Come on.
Literally, oh God, I would love to see her and Aaliyah Hobbs in the race. I got Aaliyah, but listen, that's a finish line. That's a finish line thing. So, and this is a perfect transition. So let me ask you this. So Michael Johnson tweeted out something. It was a question, but basically we're seeing a lot of fast times in the indoor season. What does it benefit you to run a fast time early on this year when it's, worlds are so far away? So let me ask you this. Do you think there is benefit to running fast this early, or are we getting caught up in how we usually do? Everybody, oh snap, because Ferdinand, God, I can't even remember his name.
Omanyala, I think.
Yeah, ran 986 today. And I need to know where that meet is, because every year they go to that meet. Isaac McWalla, oh, he just popped 43.7. Somebody else popped 43.7. And they run 46 the next week when they go somewhere else. But it's like, where is this? Because honest to God's truth, I need to go run over there.
And right, like, give me a flight.
Give me a flight and some spikes.
Let me hijack a plane right quick.
Serious, I need to go over there and run. So, but what do you make of it? Like, what do you make of everybody running fast?
So maybe it's like the collegiate athlete in me, because a lot of pros, they don't really like to touch their toes in indoor, because in their mind it's no money, it's no this. I'm gonna go focus on outdoor, which is cool, especially with the state of our sport. Like I'm not shitting on you for it. Like do what you feel like is best for you and your body and that bag, because at the end of the day, it's about making money. But for me as a collegiate athlete, I'm like, it's great if you're running fast times right now. And I think the biggest criticism, like if we want to take it to collegiate athletes, they're like, okay, well, collegiate athletes running all these races, you running all these fast times. If it's a championship year, is you even gonna make it to Worlds? Like what's gonna happen? As if we want to take Team USA, a lot of the people who medaled, and even if you didn't medal, making it to the final, for me, like I said, that's like a big medal for me. Like I would go around bragging about that for the rest of my life. But the thing is like they have shown time and time again that they can make it happen. So I don't believe that there's nothing behind running fast or doing something great this early in the season. Yes, it is very important that you are able to reproduce that, and that is always the goal. But I mean, if we want to talk about the energy of the sport, let's say me today, I go out and pop a 49 indoor like I'm Femke Bol or something. Do I need to do that? Hell no. But I'm just letting my competition know that when the time comes, when the time is right, I'm sending a message, I'm sending a signal. And I know a lot of people don't really like to get into all that. I feel like there's a way to do it while having love, but that's a whole different conversation for another day. But it's just like you sending a message, like you getting the sport heated, you getting the sport hot. And I think when you focus too much on like specific championships and not about what happens in between and the stories that you can build, then of course you're going to be like, well, it's stupid if you run super fast now, but you don't do nothing later. There is an issue with that. but just live in the moment. I think we don't like to live in the moment with this sport because we're always so concerned about championship. And, if we continue to only be concerned about what happens at the championships, new fans are going to be the same way. And then we're going to be stuck complaining about how people only care about us every 4 years. Because I'm like, well, y'all only put the big hype around Worlds and the Olympics anyway. Y'all dismissing the fact that Ferdinand just ran 986 because you said it don't matter. It's like, no, 986 is still 986. And at the end of the day, you and nobody else can take that from him. So it's a whole lot. I could write a whole dissertation about this if we being real.
It's so crazy, man. Like you hit the nail dead on the head, because I look at some of these meets that we grew up watching. So I'm born and raised here in Florida. I still live here in Florida. Let me tell you something. Track and field is a big deal here. Like sprinting, like I graduated in 2012. And so the person that was on my track not every week, but where we were going to the meets where he was running was Marvin Bracey.
Yes.
He went to high school 4 miles away from us. And when Boone came and all them people came, trust me, if you came for one meet, you're going to stay for the 100. Or you're gonna stay for the 4x1,
for sure.
or the 4. Nobody likes the 4x4. Everybody is running in the 4x4 because nobody wants to run that race. Nobody. If you stay to the end, if you made it through the 3200, then may the good Lord bless and keep you. May He bless you real good. Because listen, I didn't even look. I threw the shot, put in the discus. I could have went home and had me a merry old weekend, but I chose to stay for the good of the sport. But no, but just think about it. Pin relays is not what it used to be.
Right.
Like, look at like pin relays. Like everybody used to go to pin relays. Everybody used to love,
especially that the USA versus Jamaica. Like I remember when I wasn't like too in the track, but like my dad would talk about pin relays all the time. He'd be like, "Oh my god, like look at all this stuff, look at all this stuff." I'd be looking like, man, I don't care about this sport. And then I got into it. I was like, oh, it's not like I see why y'all be hype about this, but you're so right. Like these big meets, like we don't have no hype about it. And so I was having like some conversations back when I was at Mirrors a couple of weeks ago, and I'm like, dude, like I feel like the answer to our sport is in the fans. Like they be the type of ideas they be dropping on Twitter every day is crazy. And so like one particular idea, everybody's like, battle of the brands, bro. Like Adidas versus Nike, my camp versus your camp. Like, let's see who really got it for real. Since everybody, and somebody was saying how, well, like if you want to present this idea to people, like you have to figure out, like, I don't know, why people would want to like watch it and like why people would want to invest in it. And I'm like, it's right there. Like, I don't think we need to think too hard about this stuff. Like, if we want to be able to grow our sport outside of the Olympics and outside of the World Championships, we got to bring the hype back to these other meets that people are going to and actually give people incentive to want to be there. I'm talking about y'all better be dropping them dollars, okay? Because you can't expect people to be using their time, body, and energy at the ages that they're at, and you're not giving them no money to show nothing for it. But it's just like getting more energy and excitement behind those meets, like that's one step forward. But money.
And I also feel like people like you, people like our friend of the show, Real Talk. People, I would like to put myself in the category. People like Track World News. People like Two Black Runners. Just so many different. Obviously, Sidious Mag is there. But God, there's so many like good young content creators with good ideas and a connection. Because the connection is gone. Because to me, we have all these stadiums in the United States. We have all these stadiums. Why do we have to go overseas all the time? And where they love, and here's the thing, it's hard for me to say that they love track more, but it's better, as bad as it is, because it's bad overseas too, but it's better than it is here. But it's presented to them more. I live in Florida, the South, the Southeast. You live here. You live in Kentucky. When it comes to the sprints and the jumps, letting the athletes showcase their abilities, because it's so arbitrary. It's elementary school. Every elementary school, I went to public school before I went to private school, and every public school in this great land of ours has something called field day. And you had a 50-yard dash, you had a 100-yard dash, you had a baseball throwing contest, among other things. So we have a us 2 sprints, and we already got the shot put. Okay, cool. So these are elements that we have already, and it's not being presented. How are you going to tell me that cricket shot? Whoever played cricket or not cricket? No, I ain't gonna mess with cricket. No, they scare me. Not
They gonna
cricket, but
go get you, boy.
yeah, no, you're not coming for lactic acid. I apologize, but cornhole and billiards. Like they shooting pool on primetime ESPN. They playing World Series of Poker, and we have athletes who are like, we have a street race in Atlanta that's being promoted by Noah Lyles just as well as everybody. You have Fred Curley out here. You have Michael Norman. Listen, if the LA Grand Prix is not on ESPN, that's going to be a problem. I'm just saying. Like LA Grand Prix, like there's no reason. Shout out to NBC, Bad Love, Peace, and Chicken Grease. But LA Grand Prix needs to be on ESPN. My dog John
if you
Anderson.
want people to like something, they gotta see it. We've been shown time and time again, literally anything in your life, bro. Like if you want somebody to be in tune with it, you gotta stuff it down their throat. And it's not like we stuffing something crazy. Like I'm not feeding you no raw chicken strips or nothing. Like I'm track and field. It's running, bro. I'm not feeding you nothing that's gonna kill you, destroy you, or whatever's gonna happen. You're going to be fine. If you show more track, you're going to get more people in tune with it. And like you were saying earlier, it's that disconnect because everybody and their mama want to run track in high school. Mm-hmm. Everybody that I'm friends with, oh, I did track. They know the events. Like, oh, I did this. Because, you know, most people, if they do track, they only do like the sprint events and stuff like that. But they're like, no, I did this and I did that, whatever. And I'm like, so y'all know track. But what is the reason why we can't, like, even if you don't want to compete, because we already know we don't low-key, I don't even know if we need no more people because like these people got it covered, okay? Yeah. But when you think about it, it's like, why can't we get you to at least pay attention or continue to be a fan after you know you've hung up your spikes or your shoes or whatever? Like what's the disconnect there?
You know what's crazy to me? College athletes who are now running pro will say, I had no idea you could make a career professionally out of this until my senior year of college.
Yeah.
That's a problem. That is a problem because you're a senior. You already
one of the fastest people in the world.
Literally, anybody, you take the fastest person on your football team, fastest person on your basketball team, fastest person on your baseball, your softball team, you line them up, you run 80 meters. You don't even have to run a 450 to 100. Every girl would and every boy would beat them. It don't matter. Take somebody off the women's team, take somebody off the men's team, let them go head up. They're finishing 1-2. That's just the way it is. Anna Hall, let me tell you something. This is how confident I am of it. I would take Anna Hall after competing in the pentathlon, the heptathlon, and the open 400 and line her up 24 miles or 50 minutes later, and I guarantee you she'd beat the fastest football player in the University of Florida.
And I would say that she would. I could put 10 toes behind that too, man. Like, it's just facts at the end of the day.
So, but let me ask you this, and this is how we'll close. The one thing that I think is killing us, just not just content creators, but just from the sport, is that we may see something, we may know something. You know, there was a hip hop song that said everybody knows somebody that knows somebody that knows something about it.
Yeah.
And so we may know that because we're in the sport, but we can't relay that information to an audience who might like it because there's so many restrictions and so many things. Does it sometimes feel like self-sabotage? Because the one thing, and here's the thing, people at Flow Track, people at Runner Space, they work hard. That is a hard job. That is a tiring, thankless job. Shout out to my man, Kadeem Wynn, doing it big over at Runner Space.
Yes.
But sometimes it's like, I just don't get, why are we just limited to those companies? And this is no shade to them, but why are we limited to those companies? Why can't people who can bring something new to the table? Like, listen, this is the thing about Thanksgiving. Don't nobody want Jell-O.
No.
What did Shirley Caesar say? She said greens, beans, potatoes, tomatoes, lamb, rams, hogs, dogs, chickens, turkeys. What did she? That's what the song says. She said, you name it. But why do you think that the opportunities when it comes to having access to share, to creatively bring new approaches and new ideas and new methods to the sport, why do you think there's such a stronghold and just, I don't know, it's like we can't get in to help out?
Now, this ain't no shade or no shots to nobody, no person, no company, so y'all better not come for me. But what I have observed, or at least heard from other individuals who are observing the same situation, a lot of it feels like greed. Because at the end of the day, if you want to get all sociological, capitalist society, it's always only going to be one person, and everybody only want that one person to be them. I mean, that's just the society that we live in, and that's a whole nother issue that we got to figure out before we can even get the track. But I think that is the biggest problem, that a lot of us have become so selfish and we don't want to share. And like you were saying, it kind of feels like self-sabotage, because how are we expected, like, you're a part of the problem and you wondering why the problem is still there. It's like, if you want to be able to make change, you got to do something radical. Let's keep talking about Fred Curley. The man wanted to be the hottest man out in the sprint. So he said, I'm going to stop doing the best event that I know and that people know me for, and I'm going to go to the 100. And he showed, even like with moving the aces and all of this, like all the moves that he's making, I firmly believe are going to do something great for our sport. I don't think we're going to see it today, tomorrow, or next year, but hopefully down the line in a couple years, when people really start waking up, we're going to see some really great changes for these athletes. But it's kind of the same thing when we want to talk about content creation and actually bringing popularity to the sport. Like, everybody only wants it to be them. And I'm like, with the way our sport is right now, you can't be selfish. Because if you're going to be selfish, you're going to be a part of the problem, and you're going to be mad when all this stuff blow up in our face. We don't have no sport no more. We're going to be sad. Like, I don't think it's ever going to come to that. But at the end of the day, I think as companies and as individuals and content creators, like, think more about like connecting with people. That's like when I do my content, like, I'm not super formal. Like, when I'm talking about, whoever I'm talking about, like if I'm tweeting about somebody, I'm gonna be acting a fool, because at the end of the day, like, I want to connect with people. People want to laugh about this sport. People want to have a great time. People want to smile. Like, people don't just like numbers. It's so many numbers. Make it mean something for somebody, because maybe they don't know the fact that Jasmine jumping 691 about an hour ago is
Oh
ridiculous.
my
But if they
gosh.
see me acting crazy about it, they're gonna be like, maybe I gotta get hyped too. And then eventually, the knowledge that you need to know about those particular numbers are gonna come. But like, let's get with the excitement. Like, let's link arms, sing kumbaya, get around a fire, have some Thanksgiving dinner. Like, be for real, bro.
Oh my gosh, I'm gonna have to do the theme song, reach out and touch somebody's hand. I always look at it like that, make this world a better place if you can. I always look at it, you ain't never gone to a chicken spot and they just serve one piece of chicken. It's a 2, 3, it's a family meal. That's what we have to do. Listen, I appreciate you coming on the show, gracing the show with your presence. Tell the people where they can find you.
Oh, you can find me on Twitter, KX Naomi. I'll try to do my thing a little bit on TikTok, so you can find me at KX Naomi. I don't know if the underscore is before or after, but you're gonna find it. And then on Instagram too, also KX Naomi. Don't know where the underscore is on the front or the back, but just search it. You're gonna find me. That's where a lot of my content and stuff is. Or if you want to see me talking with Jasmine Todd, my wonderful co-host on Out of the Blacks, you can find us on Spotify and Apple Music. And yeah, if you see me at a track meet, say hey, because fingers crossed I get out this injury, I'm gonna be traveling and y'all gonna see me around. So
hey, listen, we love it. We love to see it. To everybody who watched, thank you so much. Appreciate you, and we will catch you next time.